Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel, Doom Productions, home of the No Budget Film School. And today we are back at it with another Filmmaker Hangout. Again, as you can see, it's just me because we're still filming the bell rings. By now we are 2 weeks into shooting. It's going very, very well. It's been a lot of fun. And to relieve Ethan of the stress of tackling his first big production and directing and doing these videos, it's just a solo episode again. So today, last week we talked about Cambodian cinema. It kind of turned less of a filmmaker hangout, and it turned into more of a just normal video, kind of a longer video. So I thought today I'd do more of an actual filmmaker hangout, and I was trying to think about what topics to talk about, and I figured music in score and composition, because I've talked about it a handful of times, probably not as much as I've talked about other filmmaking subjects. So I have you can hear that, there's a keyboard right here. I have my guitar right here. And I guess something I wanted to talk about that I thought was really important. I don't know if I'll play any of this actually, but I thought I'd have it out for props. Something I thought I'd talk about, a lesson I think is really important, is if you're a filmmaker and you're not a musician, or if you're not musically inclined, you probably have this idea in the back of your head, or you just have this idea just in general that I'm not a musician, so I can't make music. And I don't think that's always true. I think everybody can play music. Music is not this like mysterious, complicated, really complex thing that you need to conquer. Like, you don't need to go to music school or learn music theory. I mean, those are all really good things to do and to learn, but if you're just a filmmaker and you want to make music for your movie, make music. I use Garageband, and something people I've had asked to me is like, how do you make the music in Garageband? And the truth is, it's not like there was any one YouTube video I looked up. There wasn't one thing that I did. I had access to Garageband probably since middle school, and I just used it all the time. There's nothing much more than that. I would, if I was at my dad's house, or because he had a Mac computer, or if I was at school where there was Mac computers and I had free time, and if I was allowed to, I would pull up GarageBand and just dink around. I would press on the keys, I would press on the instruments, I'd click around, I'd see what I could do. And I figured it out just by pressing buttons. So that's really all I did to do music in GarageBand. And so, obviously I've had the advantage of having years of time since, I honestly couldn't tell you an age. Let's just say, for an arbitrary number, let's say 12 years old. So that's, oh geez, I can't do math. It's been a long shooting week. That's 13 years of experience of just practicing with GarageBand. And it wasn't until maybe last year or so, or maybe a couple of years, maybe 5 years ago, where I started feeling like really confident and started actually composing for my movie specifically. And so, it takes some time if you're just going to dink around, but it's worth it in the end. And it's not that complicated, and it doesn't have to be this perfect, amazing thing. GarageBand is meant for anybody to use, I think. That's the idea behind the software, is it's supposed to be this really user-friendly, accessible thing for anyone to use. And that's what I think is so great about it, is you just pull it up on your computer, press some buttons, in a couple of years you could probably figure out how to do everything. I mean, what I will say is you should probably have a good idea of like what a time signature is, and what a measure is, and what quarter notes are, and whole notes, and all that kind of stuff. They're very basic music stuff, but that's something that like you could probably look up on YouTube. And it's something you would probably figure out on your own if you just messed around on the computer. And so I won't go over those specifics. I'm not necessarily going to teach you all the GarageBand and everything. But I wanted to just say that, you know, it's a lot more simple than people make it out. And I'm not sure if I've talked about this in my other videos on music, but let's see, with guitar, I did take lessons for it. But the kind of the philosophy, and I teach guitar, but the philosophy behind it is really that anyone can do it. So the way I teach people and the way that I was taught isn't that I teach you your scales. I don't teach you your 10 pentatonic scales. I don't teach you, you know, music theory, or, you know, sometimes we do through exercise to improve upon those things. But really what happens is, if you sign up for a lesson with me, we learn G, D, A, E, C. We learn those chords. We learn maybe a Green Day song, or you know, a really, really easy kind of song, you know, something really simple just to get you in the kind of right headspace of here's how to play a song. And you can play a lot of songs with just those chords. It's called caged, I think, is what people call it. But after that, I really let people guide their own learning. And I talk to them and I say, hey, what songs are you interested in learning? What are you interested in doing? And they'll say maybe, oh, I would really love to learn Float On by Modest Mouse. And I'll be like, oh, that's perfect, because all we got to do is let's put a capo, and I'll show you how to use a capo. And it's actually very similar. It's still using the caged chords. And then it's pretty simple. And anytime they want to learn a song that uses a new musical concept, what I do is we just learn that new musical concept through that thing. Because again, I think people like me, and there's a lot of people out there who are goal-oriented, so I didn't learn that like how to do that by learning my scales. I learned how to do that because I wanted to play a solo, and it just happened to use those scales. And after I learned enough solos, what happened was I recognized, hey, this isn't a lot of things. I think I know the scales now. And so, gee, I wish there was another person here to bounce my ideas off. I don't know what I'm talking about. My point I think I'm trying to make is that I learned how to do music by doing music, by just learning. And when you decide to pick up an instrument, if you even decide to do the traditional route and like go through lessons, but I didn't learn lessons for piano or anything. I watched YouTube videos. I learned how to do songs. I watched tutorials. You can learn how to play an instrument online. The technology is there for you to do that. And kind of my personal theory is that when you're learning an instrument, after a certain point, it's not so much about learning how to play the instrument. It's about learning how to play. It's about learning how to learn how to play a song, if that makes sense. So for instance, like for when I teach guitar, obviously I'm guiding learning. Oh, this is really out of tune. Obviously I'm teaching people how to play songs that they want to learn in a very kind of casual, stripped down manner that isn't like super jargony or anything like that. Really catered to the average person. Oh yeah. Yeah. But after they get good enough, you know, if they're on my level, then what I do is I really try to like give them the tools to like, hey, if you want to learn a song on your own, here's how you can do that. And it's really about like giving people the confidence to just do it themselves. And I think that's a huge thing with music, with filmmaking, specifically like no budget filmmaking, or when you don't have any resources, or just being a musician in general. It's all about just doing it and just, you know, practicing every single day, dedicating your time to it. It doesn't take a lot of time every day, but going through your chords, you know, just once a day, just doing this. If you're trying to learn your chords, just do this while you're watching the TV. It's not like I'm not spending hours on it, maybe only 30 minutes, but that's better than nothing. And that's how you learn. It's just, again, discipline over motivation or inspiration. Um, oh, that was wrong. Oh well. And don't be afraid to make mistakes, because, again, I think it's a lot harder when you're an adult, because adults have this thing where we're afraid to make mistakes and we're afraid to look foolish. Kids don't have that. So if you learn an instrument when you're a kid, you have the benefit of not being as afraid and timid as making a wrong note when you're an adult. So I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that, with music, it's really important that you just stay at it and practice every day, and it doesn't have to be really complicated, but also that, anyone can do it. It's not a big, crazy thing. I mean, it seems like that, again, because we're afraid of making mistakes, we're afraid of not doing it. But for filmmaking in particular, learning these chords, like very basic chords, caged, you can do a lot with that for your movie. I mean, right there, that was just an A minor. I strummed it on an electric guitar with the distortion. I could put my microphone right here, and that's a great stinger for the end of a scene, or a punchline to a joke or something. You can get really experimental. You can do weird, like, atmospheric stuff, like just, making noise. You don't have to be playing anything correct. I mean, that sounds not great, but for the right movie, that could be a great tonal thing, an atmospheric kind of thing. You don't have to make a John Williams type score. You don't have to do a Hans Zimmer type score, but you can make a score that's unique to you and expressing yourself by just making noise on an instrument. I think when you just make noise on an instrument, it's not just noise, it's music, as long as you're intentional. Obviously, there's people who pick up the guitar or the piano and just they don't know what they're doing, but I mean, the spirit's there, and if they're intentional about it and they're just trying to do their best and make something beautiful, even if they mess up, I think that's music. I'm kind of running out of things to say, I think. I don't know. I hope this is making sense. But yeah, the big thing I would take away from this, if you're watching this and if you're a filmmaker who doesn't make music, who doesn't consider themselves a musician, I would say open up Garageband, go get a cheap guitar or cheap ukulele or bass or a drum set, or just get like one drum and just make some noise on it and just try to make something that sounds cool that would fit your movie. There's been a few short films that we've made where I was kind of too lazy to drop in a track and make something that was like, try to find something that fits, right? Because it's kind of a pain in the butt to find a musical track that'll fit your movie. So what I did instead was I just picked up my guitar and I just strummed. Right? I just did this. And I would break when I felt like silence was good. I just vary it up. I'd build that tension however I could just with the guitar. And that worked for a lot of our short sketches and skits and stuff like that. It's a really fun thing to do too. I mean, the huge benefit I think behind putting your own music in your movie is, one, you have more ownership over it. You legally own everything in it if it's your own creation, but also there's a creative ownership over it too. There's kind of a cool thing to say where it's like, hey, I made this movie and I did the music for it. That's pretty cool. That's something that not a lot of filmmakers do, but I know quite a few like indie filmmakers do that. And I think that's really cool. And the benefits of legally owning your own films, I mean, I don't think I need to go over that because, I mean, I think we've discussed that ad nauseum. But yeah, I just think I wish more filmmakers would make their own score for their movies, because I think it's, I love music. Movies were my first passion, but music kind of came in later on when I was in middle school, and I mean, it's kind of woven its way into, you know, my thing, which is movies. I mean, I don't really, a lot of times when I'm soloing, I don't know what I'm doing necessarily. Again, I never learned the scales the traditional way. I learned a bunch of solos and I recognize, hey, that solo uses a similar kind of shape to it as this other stuff. So again, you know, you don't have to know what you're doing, really. You just have to try your best and try to make something that fits your movie. Yeah, so I don't know what I don't know what else to talk about, really. I mean, other than that, in terms of, I guess here's some practical advice I could give people who don't know anything about music and want to learn. I'd say first off, pick what you want to learn. Don't just try to do everything, because I didn't try to learn GarageBand and guitar at the same time. I just kind of ended up learning GarageBand because I practiced and played around with it over a long period of time. I started out learning to do guitar. That was the thing that I really wanted to do. So pick something that you want to do, whether it be GarageBand or drums or piano or whatever. Pick something that you want to do, first step. Next, find out if you want to do lessons or if you're going to do it online. If you're going to do it online, it's going to be trickier because obviously you don't have a professional helping you out, or maybe not even a professional, someone who's experienced to help you out. But if you go through an experienced person, try to get a tutor or take lessons or take a class, obviously that costs money, and not everybody can do that. So figure out which one you want to do. If you have no money and you don't want to sink a bunch of money into it, I would just pick up a cheap guitar or a cheap keyboard or whatever, and just play around with stuff online first. See what you can do on your own. And if it's speaking to you and it's working, then maybe it's time to get some lessons, because you know, you can learn stuff on your own, but there is an added benefit of, again, having someone help you. I couldn't have learned everything I did on guitar if I didn't have a teacher who was helping me. And that's just how I work. But that teacher, what he was able to do was set me up for success, that when I wanted to learn how to play on the keyboard or the bass or the drums, he taught me to be a self-independent learner, which was really, really great. So find someone who's going to teach you how to teach yourself. And after you've done all that and you've kind of thought about that, again, just once you start learning, I would say, again, do it every single day. I had the benefit of starting when I was young, so I had time after middle school and high school just to play around and do whatever. And that's can be hard today. When you have a job or if you go to school and you have other things you have to do. But I would really just, you know, if you're learning chords, just practice those chords a couple times every day. Doesn't have to be very, very long. Doesn't even have to be for like 10 minutes. Do it for like 5 minutes. Do it for 3 minutes. Just pick it up and do it, because if you don't, you're not going to do very well. I mean, what you get out of playing an instrument is what you put into it. And if you don't put anything into it, you're not going to get much out of it. So that's how it works. And if you want to just jump into scoring your movies right away, that's great. You don't have to know how to do all this fancy stuff. Just like, make some noise, take what you have learned, and just try to incorporate that into your movie, into your project. Yeah, I think that's all I have for you all today. I know it's a little bit different doing these one-person filmmaker hangouts, but I hope you found this educational. I hope you found it interesting. If you have any questions about no budget filmmaking or filmmaking or like music kind of stuff, leave a comment down below. Yeah, because I would love to chat more music stuff with you all, but I just don't know what I should be talking about or what filmmakers find interesting. So if you like this video, like and subscribe, leave a comment down below. Stay tuned for updates on our new movie, The Bell Rings, which we're shooting right now, which I can't wait for you all to see. And until next time, have a good weekend.